During my first year of college, I had this final, which I had to take for a class that I couldn't really afford to fail. And luckily for me, I had this friend who I've known since high school who was actually really good at the subject, and he offered to help me study. And this study session in particular was going to be extra special because not only was his parents going to be out of the house for an entire week, so you know you're about to turn up. No, I'm just kidding, by the way. I just want to emphasize that I've always struggled when it came to studying because I'm very easily distracted. But yeah, having someone hold you accountable towards your studies was actually really great for me, and I couldn't recommend it enough. It's really just how things transpired. And I swear, guys, I actually did study during this time. I swear, I was good. So the day before the exam, Tony had to run some personal errands, and I tagged along, and we had got sandwiches, for breakfast. This will be important later. And me personally, I have a small appetite, so I barely finished my sandwich. But Tony, well, he's a pretty big guy, so he finished the entire thing in one sitting. And afterwards, we do those errands, and eventually we're both in the car, and Tony, he looks over at me, and he's like, you earned a reward for all the hard work, and it's on me. So then he pulled in front of the vape shop, and we were walking in, and the worker, he was right behind us with his scooter. I assume he just came back from his break or something. I didn't really ask questions, but he was like, so how can I help you fellas? And Tony was like, edibles, the strongest ones you have. And the guy was like, oh yeah, I know just the ones. And he handed us a really suspicious looking bag. So yeah, and then he bought them and we drove back home. And as soon as we stepped in the house, he told me to hand him 4 gummies. And I obliged. And then he proceeded to scarf it all at once. And mind you, Tony had a really high tolerance to substances, so I honestly thought this was light work for him. And as for me, I chose to be responsible, so I only took 1, and I also used it to study. Yeah, he was playing video games, and I was just having a blast, putting on little mini quizzes. I pulled up a Kahoot, and the music was hitting the spot. And I know everyone glazes the original Kahoot music, but guys, you have to try the beach one. The beach one had me vibing. It was 10 out of 10. Incredible. But that's as good as it got, because my friend, he looked behind from the couch. He stared right at me, and he told me, he's like, bro, every game looks weird. And he put down the controller, and he walked over to me and said, Hoyo, what have we done? Oh, well, we're studying. Nah, we messed up. There's no way we can study like this. And I was like, well, I'm fine actually. I only took 1. You, on the other hand, you took 4, which is like 2,000 milligrams. That's a lot, bro. And Tony looked at me, and he told me, he was like, 2,000? You must be mistaken. And I handed him the package, and he looked at it. He said, dude, I messed up. Wait, you didn't know? Now, I know I'm the one that technically handed him the gummies, but to be fair, guys, he's the one that bought them, so I just assumed he knew how much they were each. And he was like, I need to lie down. Wake me up in like 2 hours. So yeah, he walked off, and at this point, I got really hungry. So I started microwaving my yummy sandwich for him. And I had grabbed a cold, refreshing water bottle just in case he woke up at any point and he was thirsty. So I walked into his room, and I was about to leave it next to him, and all I heard was, come closer. I sat on his bed. And Tony, who's this huge 6 foot something guy, he told me, dude, I'm so scared. And I told him, it's okay, just let it happen. It'll be over soon. And I'm not gonna lie, this all had me feeling extra insightful because I started opening up in hopes of making him feel better. In the middle of my ramble, he jolted up and he told me, "Get the bucket." And I swear to God, time slowed down. I dipped from the room. I ran to the kitchen. My heart was racing out of my chest. "What bucket?" "I don't know where anything is." And a trigger warning, look away if you're squeamish. But I heard gagging, and then I heard my buddy start to throw up. And I was in the kitchen like a freaking cartoon character, just searching for anything, any sort of bucket. But there was no bucket to be seen, so the best I could do was a blender. So I ran towards the room, and I got a whiff of the smell, and I gagged. But I had a mission, so I pulled the hoodie over my face, and I handed him the blender. And he just looked at it, and he tossed it aside. Which, okay, rude. You know, I worked really hard to find that, but whatever. And then Tony hysterically told me, "Bro, we need to call 911. And if you live in America, you know how bad of an idea that actually is. So I said, wait, let's think about this. Tony was having a really bad trip, so I was trying my best to resolve things with him to the best of my ability. So I proposed setting a timer for an hour and then calling for help if he still felt really bad. And then he told me the only way he'd agree to that is if I checked his vomit. And I'm not gonna lie, I was reaching my limits at this point. And I really didn't want to do that. So I suggested, he could take a picture of it and, I could just see that picture. But he would not budge at all. So I collapsed onto the floor like, please don't make me do that. With tears in my eyes. I eventually collected myself and I walked into the room and I turned on the lights and I looked at the mess that was left in front of us. And all I saw was a leftover sandwich. And after I told him this, he finally settled down just enough to fall asleep. In his undies. And as for me, I sat on a chair near his bed, and I just watched over him that entire hour, just to make sure he was okay. I even lit some candles. They didn't really help much, but it was something. But yeah, I had set that timer on his phone, and my phone was all the way in the living room, so he was also a light sleeper, and I wanted to minimize his freakouts to the best of my ability, so I opted to not move a muscle. And I was pretty much half dead at this point. But then the timer went off, and he was like, I feel a lot better. So yeah, he cleaned up his mess, and I threw away my sandwich, which had been sitting in the microwave that entire time, but I clearly had lost my appetite at that point. After we cleaned up, I finally got to get some sleep, and I think it was like 3 a.m. at this point, but honestly, I was too tired to care. So then the next morning came, and I was completely out of it. I was so groggy to the point where I had to literally drag myself out of bed. When Tony saw me in this state, he said he knew just the thing. So he parked in front of the gas station, and we walked in, and then he pointed me towards the 5-hour energy drinks. He told me to pick a flavor, but I knew deep down in my heart that no matter which one I chose, it would still taste like battery acid. Also, I should note, I don't think those worked on me, but I wasn't using my full brain. And when we got to the car, Tony was like, "Alright, so I want you to drink the whole thing." And I couldn't get through even half of it before I felt very sickly, like I was about to vomit. And the coffee didn't help either. I just felt tired, with the exception of an uncontrollable resting heart rate. And a little part of me genuinely thought Tony was trying to get back at me for yesterday. But he assured me that he was actually glad I didn't call anyone because it could have turned out much worse. But yeah, after all that commotion, we finally arrived. I leave the car and I go towards the door, and there was a note. And the note said, "Test postponed." I sent email, and I checked, and he did in fact send that email. So that entire experience could have been worse. But in actuality, Tony's POV was, for starters, not only was he vibrating, really sweaty, half naked, but he could also visually imagine every bad thing in the world. Like, random slideshows of natural disasters, pains, and famines would just appear and then disappear in an endless loop. It also didn't help that I opened up in detail about all my pain and suffering in order to, help, and he visually imagined all of it. And despite my good intentions, Tony genuinely thought he was in purgatory, and I was the Grim Reaper. And the timer I put, he thought that was a timer to his demise. And it also didn't help that I wore my hoodie the entire time, and I repeatedly said phrases such as, "Just let it happen, it'll be over soon." So, sorry about that. But, I did take that test a week later, and I passed. And Tony, well, he never picked up edibles again. And honestly, I don't blame him.